Pat Finucane's name's probably known across the world, and probably known for all the wrong reasons. A human rights champion who was assassinated by agents of the state. And I know some people probably watching this will think that I would say that anyway. And what we all know is, we all know who pulled the trigger, but what we need to know is who pulled the strings. And Pat Finucane was my solicitor, and he fought for my human rights, and he fought for many people's human rights. And it's incumbent upon me and many others to make sure that Pat Finucane's family get justice. And that's why I'm here tonight. I'm here to remember Pat as a brilliant solicitor, but also to support the Finucane family, because they lost a brilliant father and a brilliant husband. And I just think for people who've been denied rights across the length and breadth of this country, they'll also too be with the Finucane family, and indeed the families from Loughin Island are here this evening. And we just can't, you kind of think of people like Pat Finucane and Rosemary Nelson and many, many others, and for people who are attorneys of law upholding the state, the laws of the state, and to be assassinated by a state, it doesn't sit well with me. And until the Finucane family and many others get justice, we'll be here.
Just want to say thank everybody for coming, and it's amazing that 25 years later, on a Sunday night around this time, when the killers entered this street and murdered one of our best loved solicitors. And Pat, we used to visit him on a Sunday night, Father Fall, Father Murray himself, over cases. He never turned us away. He never turned any families away. He stood by the families through thick and thin, and that was why he was murdered, because he was a solicitor that was prepared to take a step further to get to the truth, and he paid for it with his life. So, I'm delighted with the crowd here, and the family are delighted with the crowd here tonight. And it's amazing that after 25 years, people, think of him, they pray for him, they pray for the family, and they're still willing to come out. We will not forget Pat Finucane, and as one of the lawyers once said, to forget would be the worst offence to his memory, and we won't do that. So thank you for coming, and I know it's cold, we don't want to keep anybody longer, but on behalf of the family, thank you very much.
I'm here as first citizen, as officially invited as Lord Mayor of Belfast to come and stand to express the love of the city for Pat Finucane, the high regard in which he was held and the high regard in which his family is held today, and the support of ordinary citizens for their wish that we should find the full truth about who killed Pat Finucane, why he was killed, and how far up in government those responsible stood and stand and rest today. I'm also here because, of course, Pat Finucane was my solicitor. The night he was murdered, I travelled across the city to the city hospital, then to his family home in Lenadoon, and I spoke with Cardinal O'Fake, late Cardinal O'Fake, that night as well. So it was a great blow to all those who believe in in civil rights, in civil liberties, and great human rights lawyers. It's a great blow to all those who believe that a lawyer is a fearless representative for the underdog. The questions will continue to be asked until the truth is known, and it would be much better for all of us if those who are hiding the truth were to reveal it. So we move forward and hope, we travel forward in hope and optimism, the spirit of Pat Finucane, that fearless spirit of uncovering the truth, standing up for the vulnerable, standing with the weak, speaking truth to power. That spirit is stronger in Belfast than it was in 1989.
I'm here for the memory of Pat. I'm here for his family. I'm here to support them in their fight for justice. Pat was murdered. We all know who murdered him. It's now time for the truth to come out. It's great to see other families here who've also suffered, such as the Loughin Island families and the McGurk's families. They're still fighting for justice as well, and it's sad that all these families, all these years later, are still not being given the truth. That's all they want, is the truth, so they can mourn their loved ones.
Well, I remember at the time it came through on the news. I was in prison at the time. Pat was actually my solicitor during my trial, so I would have known Pat, and I have to say it was a big shock when I heard it on the news that evening that he had been killed. I think that it's you know, it's hard to believe it's 25 years ago, but I know the family go through his loss and the loss, sense of loss that they have every day. But I think that now, you know, I mean, and they had only for the family, the campaign wouldn't have been where it was, and I think that, you know, they have to have, you know, be commended for the way they have conducted the whole campaign around trying to get an inquiry into his death. It's very, very clear that he was murdered, and he was murdered in term that it went right up to the highest echelons of the British state, and I think that there needs now, particularly the Irish government, need to come forward now, and the Irish government need to assure the family that they will do whatever they have to do to make this inquiry happen, because I think that the time's passed now for asking for it. We need to see some action.
It never ceases to amaze me or surprise me that the British government will only ever concede any sort of progress as a result of pressure, as a result of campaigning and lobbying by our family and our supporters around the world. So we continue to bring that fight to the British government, and we ask them basically to give us what they promised us, and that is a public inquiry.
Do you get a sense that the pressure is becoming unbearable?
Well, it's not going away. The Labour Party have made their position very clear that if they do go back into power, there will be a full public inquiry. I think that David Cameron tried to bury this with a De Silva report, and I think it's backfired, because what De Silva really does is act as a springboard. It poses more questions than it answers, and I think people do realise that the truth about Pat Finucane has yet to be told.
And what would be your message to the government in the 26 counties?
Well, I think they should take the refusal of an inquiry to our family as personally as we do. They were part of the Weston Park talks. They had to enact a public inquiry in respect of the murders of Constables Breen and Buchanan. They did that. They lived up to their responsibilities. The British government haven't, and I think the Irish government should be very angry about that.
Well, I knew Pat, and different meetings, he was always in the front seat with his files and taking notes, and swishing through the gates at Long Cash and through these gates here as well. So he was a familiar figure, and I liked him very much. And it was a terrible shock, of course, when he was murdered. And since that, of course, so much has been revealed of collusion over the years. Some 30 years of conflict and collusion all down. But everybody knows it now. Everybody knows it is a fact. The lethal allies, as it's called. But behind security forces, of course, is government. And the delay from the Judge Corrie, you know, the recommendation, delay, stall, and over all those years, 25 years, waiting, and the patience of the Finucane family themselves, and Geraldine out there in the front. But there was hope when the family visited David Cameron, the Prime Minister, and then the great disappointment. And all the different inquiries down the years, the Stark inquiry, the Stephen Street reports, and why don't the public get access to them? It must be behind the scenes, those employees, if you like, who were in government, that they raised such a fear and such tension with Cameron that he backed down.
Well, I think as Father Raymond Murray has just said, and he started off his remarks by saying what's in a name, and he said Pat Finucane, and I think that what is in the name of Pat Finucane is the unquenchable thirst for justice and truth in this country. I think that the killing and the murder of Pat Finucane does remain a blight on the landscape of the relations between Britain and Ireland. I do think it epitomises the campaign of collusion which was organised by the British through their forces and with Loyalist parliamentary organisations. A collusion which was a policy which was designed to intimidate this whole community. It was to intimidate and to repress people here. It was to use to kill ordinary citizens and injure many others, including myself, and including people like Rosemary Nelson, Pat Finucane. So I do think that this strategy of collusion does continue to have to be exposed. The family of Pat Finucane need the truth, need justice. And I think that all credit to Pat's widow Geraldine and her family for remaining steadfast against all of the barriers that have been put against them by successive British governments in the last 25 years. So I think that what's in the name of Pat Finucane is the desire and the hunger and the thirst and the determination to get truth about collusion in this country, including for the murder of Pat Finucane.
What role in the coming months do you believe the Irish government have to play in this?
Well, I think we have always made it very clear that the Irish government has a very important role. They are obviously co-guarantors of the Good Friday Agreement. They have joined up with the British government in agreeing a number of inquiries, for example, one of which was for Pat Finucane. That has since and repeatedly been denied by successive British governments. The Irish government has to take a very firm stand on that and do more than make comments in the odd statement. I do think the Irish government has a very, very important role and responsibility in this here. They have to stand by the families here, they have to stand by the family of Pat Finucane in particular, and I think they have to stand by the families of many others here who have lost loved ones as a result of this conflict, particularly where it pertains to issues of collusion and British inspired or British involved murder with the murder gangs of the UDA and UBF.